Does that help Tesla? I mean, you had Tim Waltz, who's a huge jerk, right? You know.
Imagine this: for decades, Tesla has been setting the rules in the electric vehicle market. Elon Musk innovation, supercharging stations on every corner, self-driving cars. All these achievements have made Tesla not just a brand, but a symbol of the future. It set the pace that all other companies followed, and Musk himself found himself in the spotlight of the entire world. But what if you were told that this era has come to an end?
Spray paint to vandalize and make a statement. People in Southern California are getting notes on their Teslas, calling them complicit Nazis for owning electric cars.
The year is 2025. While the world is still marveling at Tesla's achievements, an unexpected competitor emerges. And this competitor is not from Silicon Valley, nor is it a small startup. It is a giant that has always been considered too slow: Toyota. Yes, Toyota, the Japanese company that has long adhered to its philosophy of hybrid technology and hydrogen engines. But now it's not just catching up, it's threatening Tesla's very existence as the leader in the electric vehicle market.
Well, this feels more like a Tesla-only story when you look at just this fall in EV sales for them, that they're suffering across Europe, down 45% in January. The wider EV market in Europe up 37%, so rivals are catching up and performing.
How did this happen? Inside Toyota, work that could change the industry has been underway for a long time. While Tesla was building supercharging stations around the world and facing problems with battery production, Toyota was quietly developing a strategy that could eclipse everything Tesla is doing now. The secret developments that Toyota has been working on for several years are now coming to light. They haven't just updated their batteries, they've invented a new type of battery that charges in 10 minutes and lasts twice as long.
Running around on stage with the Tesla stock price, where the stock price had gone in half. And he was overjoyed. What an evil thing to do. What a creep, what a jerk. Like, who derives joy?
You might think, so what? It's just a new electric car. But think again. Charging stations won't need to be searched for on a map. They will be everywhere. Toyota has raw material alliances in Africa and Asia that will bypass all of its competitors. Most importantly, the company is several steps ahead in terms of creating the charging infrastructure.
I mean, the things that he's doing is not trying to make America better. He's ruining our infrastructure, every department in our government. He's ruining, and he's right now destroying our economy. He's taken away all of our allies. We're a pariah in the world.
This isn't just another step toward improving technology. It's a real revolution. While Tesla was trying to solve its lithium and nickel shortages, Toyota had already signed agreements for long-term supplies of these materials, while Tesla is working on improving its batteries. Facing problems at high temperatures, Toyota is already testing theirs at extreme temperatures, and they work perfectly.
We've accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
He praised all the domestic actions he has taken so far on immigration.
And I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country.
And spending cuts.
We are draining the swamp. It's very simple.
And now the question arises, can Toyota really take the leading position that until now seemed unattainable? Given all of Toyota's preparation and ambitious plans, should Tesla continue to be seen as the undisputed leader? Or is it time for a change? When the change comes, will it be too late? All of this may become a reality much sooner than you think.
That's from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. People just choosing with their wallets to not buy Teslas because of that Musk-Trump association. And actually here in London, an activist group called Everyone Hates Elon actually have been hacking bus stop signs with posters. I actually passed one yesterday. First, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but it said the words 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. Illusion here, 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds or something. But this poster was alluding to the start of World War II, and the image was of Musk giving that hand salute that we saw at Trump's inauguration that many have attacked as a Nazi gesture. Musk, though, has neither admitted or denied what he was doing. But we're seeing the knock-on effect of that anti-Musk anger across Europe and in terms of sales.
Just a few years ago, When Tesla began to actively implement its strategy, its leadership in the electric vehicle market seemed unassailable. Elon Musk, ambitious and often controversial, became not only the face of the company, but also a symbol of a new era. He was not just an entrepreneur, but a true revolutionary who changed the way we think about the transportation industry. Musk didn't just create electric cars that could accelerate quickly and drive on autopilot. He built an entire network of supercharging stations, providing the electrical infrastructure that allowed drivers to travel across the country without fear of running out of power. With each new achievement, Tesla rose higher, pushing out competitors and setting new standards that companies couldn't help but follow.
After Trump imposed those sweeping 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports, the European Union retaliating with tariffs on up to $28 billion of U.S. goods. Trump making it clear this isn't over, vowing to respond in kind with sweeping retaliatory tariffs early next month.
They're doing what they should be doing, perhaps, for the European Union, but it does create ill will. And as you know, we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs. So whatever they charge us, we're charging them.
Canada also striking back with new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods, mostly steel and aluminum, but also computers and sporting goods.
When Musk announced the launch of the Tesla Model S Plaid in 2023, which could accelerate to 100 km/h in a record 1.99 seconds, everyone realized that Tesla wasn't just keeping pace with the times, it was racing ahead at breakneck speed, leaving everyone else behind. Autopilot, over-the-air updates, huge batteries with a range of up to 650 kilometers. It seemed that Tesla had no competitors. It seemed that Tesla and Elon Musk had become synonymous with progress. In the end, Tesla didn't just set the standards, it dictated the rules of the game in the electric vehicle market, and no one could stop it.
Well, you will hear people over in Europe say the new Model Y, the Juniper, could be a difference maker, but that's been in that market now for more than a month. And you would think that you'd see a greater snapback if it's going to be a difference maker. Look, we could be wrong. It could be a difference maker once you get the sales for April, May, and June. But when you have a country like Norway, I think the sales were down something like 11% there. I mean, that's a very savvy EV consumer in Norway. And that's long been a strength for Tesla. Very small market, not huge volume, but I think almost all of the vehicles they sell there are electric. And they embraced Tesla long before others. And, you know, the reports there are not encouraging.
However, as is often the case, progress does not stand still. 2025 was a turning point. A company that had long been considered not only slow but also traditional, with a hipster and fairly stable image, suddenly took a step that could turn the whole game upside down. It was Toyota. Until recently, the company, known for its hybrid technologies and love of hydrogen engines, was an outsider in the electric vehicle race. Most considered it nothing more than an eternal also-ran, with traditional cars such as the Prius and a bunch of awards for technological achievements in hybrid engines. Toyota wasn't chasing the leaders, its strategy seemed modest, and its ambitions were limited to making reliable cars. However, everything changed in early 2025 when Toyota unveiled its revolutionary electric vehicle with solid-state batteries and an instant charging system that could recharge 80% of the battery in just 7 minutes.
Outperforming as well in some cases, doing better than Tesla. And you just have to think, how much more is this a sustained issue for Tesla going forward, given the fact that you have Elon Musk, who's been very forthright in his opinions, particularly weighing in on politics, particularly in Europe. We've just had the European elections, which Musk has been very focused on. But across the piece, when you look at the performance for Tesla in Europe, it's not just in small countries. There are a lot of countries where Tesla has been performing badly, including in Germany, in the UK, where it has been lagging, and Spain as well.
This move was not just a technological breakthrough, but a real strategic revolution. Toyota did not just offer a new generation of electric vehicles, it offered something more valuable, a new vision for the future of the entire industry. The car, with a range of 745 miles, twice that of the flagship Model S Plaid, was not only impressive but also dangerous for Tesla's market position. Unlike Tesla, which had already reached certain limits with its lithium-ion batteries, Toyota was calmly moving on to the next stage. Insiders at the company reported that Toyota was actively developing not only battery technology, but also innovative charging systems that could solve the problem of queues at supercharging stations.
Back to the White House, that has been fueling this anger, this frustration. Some even say disgust towards Musk, and they're taking it out on Tesla. Tesla now feeling the pain. But because of what's happening here in Europe, Tesla sales fell by nearly half across the continent just last month, 45%.
And all this happened behind the scenes, without loud statements and flashy commercials. What Toyota was preparing in the shadows turned out to be not just a competitive response, but a real weapon capable of changing the game. For a long time, it seemed that Tesla could remain the undisputed leader despite growing competition. But what Toyota unveiled to the world in 2025 called Musk's entire strategy into question. The company, which had been considered secondary to Tesla, began to catch up not only in terms of technology, but also in terms of production capacity, material supply, and infrastructure. And this raises an important question. Why did no one expect such a strong reaction from Toyota? Why did everyone think that the slow Japanese company would not be able to catch up with, let alone overtake Giant?
Hey Diane, this investigation really just beginning, and one of the key elements will of course be the surveillance video, and investigators potentially have a lot of it to work with as they try to figure out what caused this fire. We know that surveillance footage has been turned over, including video from each of the cars, which could prove vital to understanding what happened here, because each vehicle has its own camera system that works even when the car is off, and 16 cars burned in this fire, and right now investigators don't know what caused it.
The answer lies in the fact that Toyota was not just watching Tesla, it was preparing its attack. Investments in solid-state batteries and the development of charging stations were not just a step in a new direction, but a complete rejection of the standards set by Tesla. Toyota acted as a large corporation that creates not just cars but an entire ecosystem for consumers should have acted long ago. Unlike Tesla, which is desperately seeking solutions to its lithium shortages and infrastructure overload, Toyota has already been building its own network of charging stations using innovative approaches and strategic alliances that are now becoming a decisive factor.
371, most were saying 350 to 360. Now they're coming in at 336, 068, production of 362, 615. So for some point of reference here, you're going back to Q2, maybe Q1 of 2022 in terms of the last time that they had production this or deliveries this low for one quarter. So again, Tesla deliveries worse than expected at just over 336,000 deliveries in the first quarter. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
That's horrible. Can I just ask Phil, how about the Cybertruck? How's that doing? You got a little inventory there in the Cybertruck?
Now, Toyota is not just catching up, it is surging ahead, and its pace could threaten even Tesla's strongest position. At first glance, this may seem like just a new strategy in the electric vehicle market, but in reality, it is the beginning of a new era where leadership will belong not to those who first built the technology, but to those who managed to build the entire infrastructure for it in advance, creating opportunities that seemed impossible just a few years ago. And all this is happening without unnecessary hype, and advertising. Toyota is doing what other companies have missed. In 2025, a real revolution took place. But behind this revolution is none other than Toyota.
Canada, the largest supplier of steel to the U.S., slapping new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods that are sold in Canada. And the 27 countries of the European Union imposing retaliatory tariffs on up to $28 billion worth of U.S. goods sold in Europe, including Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon. President Trump with the Irish Prime Minister visiting the White House today. The president suggesting his tariffs won't stop here, saying, "Of course, I'm going to respond." And tonight, right here, the new poll showing 56% of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy. The number's even worse now on the president's tariffs.
When the company announced that solid-state batteries were already being tested in extreme conditions, such as the hot deserts of Dubai and the freezing cold of Yakutia, it became clear that Toyota had not simply decided to move away from lithium-ion, but was actually developing something groundbreaking. The results of the first tests shocked the entire industry. Toyota's batteries not only withstood more than 1,000 charge cycles with minimal degradation, but also operated at temperatures ranging from 40 °C to 60 °C without any loss of power. By comparison, Tesla batteries could lose up to 40% of their charge at sub-zero temperatures, which significantly limited the use of electric vehicles in cold regions. Moreover, Toyota's technology allowed the battery to be charged to 80% in 7 minutes, while Tesla only achieved 20 minutes under ideal conditions. This was not just a step forward, it was a catastrophic advantage in the battle for the future electric vehicle market.
Over the last couple of months. But the other thing that this could potentially be is an attempt at readjustment or correction by the Trump administration, in that one of Trump's closest kind of allies and supporters, and someone who's clearly very influential in the administration, is coming out to kind of push back against the recently implemented policies. So I'm thinking, or maybe hopeful is the right word, that this might be a signal that the administration is considering walking back some of those policies.
When all this became known, the question immediately arose, how would Tesla respond to this challenge? Musk's company had been confidently leading the way for years, but in 2025, serious problems began. When Tesla's internal reports were leaked to the press, it became clear that the company was facing growing difficulties in developing solid-state batteries. Tesla's prototypes not only exploded when overheated, but also couldn't handle temperature fluctuations, making them totally unsuitable for use in cold countries. While Toyota was already testing its batteries in extreme conditions, Tesla still couldn't offer any solutions.
But they are not ruling out the possibility that this was arson. At the same time, as you just mentioned, there are groups that have been organizing ongoing and peaceful protests at Tesla dealerships around the world. These demonstrations targeting Elon Musk and his affiliation with the Trump administration. Also, Italy's prime minister is said to be close friends with Musk, and there were reports that Teslas have been vandalized in her hometown in Italy. Diane.
Moreover, Toyota did not limit itself to expanding the charging station infrastructure. The company actively worked to establish partnerships with major energy companies around the world to create its own ecosystem and reduce the cost of manufacturing and operating charging devices. This also gave Toyota a strategic advantage in logistics and infrastructure, making its cars more accessible and convenient for consumers than Tesla's. And while Tesla still led in the number of charging stations, Toyota demonstrated that its approach would be not only more scalable, but also more cost-effective.
KTLA's Samantha Cortese joins us live with more on the wave of vandalism in protest of Elon Musk and his role in Washington. Sam?
Hi, Sharon, Micah. The ATF and FBI are collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement to investigate acts of domestic terrorism surrounding Teslas.
In addition to these technological and infrastructural innovations, Toyota also solved a serious problem with the extraction of rare materials for batteries. Unlike Tesla, which faced problems in the lithium and cobalt markets, Toyota signed long-term contracts with mines in Chile, Australia. This has allowed the company not only to avoid dependence on external supplies, but also to guarantee stable supplies for many years to come. The creation of its own processing plants and control over the extraction of rare materials have made Toyota independent of unstable global markets, allowing it to reduce the cost of its cars and batteries.
Worse than expected, 336 and 68 vehicles, 336,068 vehicles delivered in the first quarter for Tesla. For a point of reference, the street was expecting, the street account was expecting, based on analyst expectations.
Unlike Tesla, which is struggling with the consequences of its success, Toyota, despite its modest ambitions at the outset, has already created a system capable of not only competing with Tesla, but also outperforming it. The company's strategy was not only to achieve technological superiority, but also to create the infrastructure and supply chain that would enable it to take a leading position in the electric vehicle market. And despite the challenges Tesla faces, the future increasingly points to Toyota, with its well-thought-out strategy and innovations being poised not just to catch up, but to overtake its competitors. Technical advantages such as solid-state batteries and fast chargers, combined with the creation of its own network of charging stations and independence from global supplies, make Toyota an important player in the electric vehicle market. Toyota has already successfully overcome the stages at which Tesla is facing growing difficulties. The company is not only catching up, but also finding ways to stay several steps ahead of its competitors. And it's not just about taking the lead in the market, it's a story about how to approach the creation of an ecosystem that solves real user problems. And that is ultimately what makes Toyota the new leader in the electric vehicle industry. Thus, the situation in the electric vehicle market is becoming increasingly complex and multifaceted. Tesla continues to fight for its position, but it cannot ignore growing infrastructure problems and dependence on material supplies. At the same time, Toyota, with its ready-made and scalable system, is confidently moving towards taking its place on the leader's podium. The question is not who will win this battle, but how quickly other companies will be able to adapt to the new conditions. Toyota appears to be ready for a new era of electric vehicles, in which it will set the pace and determine the future of the industry.